We've all been there, right? Staring at that overflowing inbox, the to-do list that just never seems to end, and feeling, well, completely overwhelmed.
Totally. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Exactly. And in this world that's just constantly throwing information, deadlines, distractions at us, you want to be well informed, you want to know what's going on, but without feeling completely swamped.
Yeah, it's a real struggle.
So that's why today we're doing a deep dive into a really insightful book, Gary Keller's The One Thing, Focus for Extraordinary Results.
Great choice. It really challenges conventional thinking.
It does. Our mission here is basically to cut through all the noise and pull out the core ideas, the practical strategies from the book, all about helping you get, extraordinary results by simplifying your focus, radically simplifying it.
And simplify really is the key word there.
Yeah.
The main idea in the one thing is, honestly, pretty counterintuitive for a lot of us.
How so?
Well, it argues that real success isn't about doing more stuff. It's actually about doing less.
Less. Okay.
Yeah, specifically focusing really intensely on the single most important thing you need to do. So this deep dive, we're going to unpack how that seemingly simple idea can actually unlock some massive potential, whether it's, personal stuff or your career.
Okay, so doing less. If that's the core idea, where does Keller suggest we even start? He talks about something called laser focus. Sounds intense.
It is.
Because we're always told, juggle things, multitask, keep all those plates spinning. But trying to narrow your concentration to just one thing, with notifications popping up constantly, it feels almost impossible sometimes. What's the biggest, mental block people hit when they first try this laser focus? And how does the book say we should sort of rewire ourselves to get past that?
That's a really crucial point, because it does go against the grain, doesn't it? Laser focus means consciously choosing to put all your energy, your effort, onto one single task, the most important one, and shutting out the others for a bit.
Okay.
The biggest mental hurdle is probably that deep-seated belief that being busy means you're being productive.
Right. We feel guilty if we're not juggling.
Exactly. We're kind of wired that way.
Yeah.
The book suggests we rewire our thinking by understanding that, extraordinary results don't come from trying to do a million things at once. They come from doing fewer things, but with massive impact. It's about learning to consciously say no to everything else, at least until that one thing is done. When you focus your energy, your attention, which is your most valuable resource, really on the thing that matters most, you get leverage. Success tends to follow from that.
And it's not just about one intense burst of focus, is it? The book brings up the domino effect, which is a great visual.
Yeah, it is.
But what happens when, the first domino doesn't fall quite right, or you hit a snag? How does the one thing handle those inevitable setbacks, those moments where you feel overwhelmed, even when you are trying to build that sequence?
Yeah, that's where the sort of resilience of the philosophy comes in. Big results, they're almost always built from a chain of focused actions, right? Not one giant leap. Success builds up bit by bit when you nail your one thing repeatedly. Each step you take, each domino you push over, makes the next one possible, often easier.
Like momentum.
Exactly. So if a domino doesn't fall, it just means your one thing for that specific moment didn't get done. The book kind of implicitly encourages you to just pause, reevaluate, maybe ask that focusing question again for this moment, and then restart the sequence.
Ah, okay. So it's not about perfection.
Not at all. It's about continuous, deliberate action. Small, focused steps today build towards that bigger thing tomorrow.
It really feels like we're constantly battling these, ingrained beliefs about what success looks like. And the one thing seems to tackle this directly by debunking what it calls the 6 myths or lies about success, the things that actually wreck our focus.
Oh, yeah.
Could you maybe walk us through those lies? Why does believing them pull us away from what really matters?
Absolutely. And these myths are so common, they're everywhere, and they really do undermine our ability to focus. So the first lie is the idea that everything matters equally.
Which feels wrong even saying it.
Right. The truth is, some things matter way more than others. Successful people get that. They prioritize. The second lie is that multitasking is effective.
The classic.
Total myth. It actually tanks your efficiency, your quality. Our brains just aren't built for doing multiple, demanding tasks at the same time. What we call multitasking is really just switching contexts really fast, and that costs us time and energy.
Okay, 2 down. What's next?
The third myth is that you need a disciplined life, meaning discipline across the board all the time. Now, discipline's important, obviously, but the book argues that focused effort on your one thing often matters more than being rigidly disciplined in every single area.
So like targeted discipline.
Exactly. Intense discipline for that specific task, for that specific block of time, and then you can ease off. Fourth, we tend to believe willpower is always available, like it's on tap.
But it runs out, right? Like phone battery.
Totally. It's a finite resource. It depletes through the day, so you've got to use it wisely, ideally saving your peak willpower for your one thing.
Makes sense. What are the last two?
Fifth is the myth that work-life balance is attainable at all times. The reality, especially when you're going for something big, is that you might need a temporary imbalance. Intense focus on a critical goal might just demand more time and energy for a period.
Purposeful imbalance, you mean?
Purposeful imbalance, exactly.
Mhm.
And finally, the sixth lie. Big is bad. A lot of people kind of shrink their ambitions. The book really pushes back on that, encouraging you to think big, don't limit your potential or your goals. Believing these myths, like you said, just pulls us away from our actual priorities.
Wow, okay, that's quite a list, and it definitely challenges a lot of common thinking. That temporary imbalance one, though, that sounds like a tricky tightrope. How does the book suggest we stop temporary from turning into, permanent burnout or just neglecting other important parts of life?
That's a really fair question, and it's definitely not arguing for constant imbalance. The emphasis is on purposeful and temporary. The idea is that once that one thing is achieved, or maybe a critical project phase is done, you have to swing back. You need to intentionally rebalance and recharge. Think of it like strategic sprints, not some never-ending marathon.
So plan the imbalance and plan the recovery.
Pretty much. Know your one thing for that period, hit it hard, and then consciously step back and recover. It's definitely not a free pass for chronic overwork.
That clarifies things a lot. Okay, so if we ditch these lies, embrace this focused mindset, what's the actual core method in the book? It introduces the focusing question, which is, let me get it right. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary?
That's one.
I mean, just hearing that question makes you pause, doesn't it? How can asking that one question actually change how someone tackles their day?
It's transformative because it works like this incredibly sharp filter, almost brutal in a good way.
A filter.
Yeah. The power of the focusing question is how it cuts through all the noise, all the competing demands. By asking, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary?
Mm-hmm.
You instantly get clarity. It helps you filter out the distractions, sets really clear priorities. It makes sure your time, your energy is consistently going towards the single most impactful thing you could be doing right now. It forces you to find the first domino, the one that knocks over the others.
That sounds incredibly practical, actually. So once you've used the question, you've identified your one thing. How does the book say you actually do it day to day? What are the key strategies for putting this into action?
Right, so theory is great, but you need action. The book lays out a few key practical strategies. First, and this is probably the most critical, is time blocking.
Ah, I've heard of this, like scheduling appointments with yourself.
Exactly, but for your most important work. It means carving out specific chunks of time every day, ideally, dedicated solely to your one thing. And you guard that time fiercely. Treat it like your most important meeting.
Non-negotiable.
Totally. If something comes up, you don't skip it, you reschedule that block. It's sacred time. It becomes the anchor for your productivity. I remember when I first tried it, my calendar looked kind of crazy for a bit, like Tetris. But then suddenly these big chunks of focused work were actually getting done.
Okay, time blocking. What else?
Second is aligning goals. This is about connecting the dots. You break down your big long-term vision into smaller pieces. What's the goal for this year, this month, this week, this day?
Connecting the big picture to the now.
Precisely. And each step you use the focusing question. What's the one thing I need to do today to be on track for my weekly goal? What's the one thing for the week to hit the monthly goal? And so on. It creates this clear line of sight so your daily actions are always pulling you towards your ultimate objective.
Makes sense. You see how today fits in. And the third?
And third, it connects really strongly to the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle.
Right. 20% of effort gives 80% of results.
You got it. The book uses this idea to say, find that vital 20%. Your one thing is likely within that critical few activities that yield the vast majority of your results. So the whole philosophy pushes you to identify and ruthlessly prioritize those few vital tasks, not the trivial many. Find the things with the most leverage.
That's a really clear roadmap. Time block, align goals, find the 80/20. It helps to see how this works in the real world, though. The book uses some great examples. I think it mentions people like Bill Gates and Microsoft, and even something totally different like KFC's original recipe.
Yeah, those are great examples because they show the principle works across different scales and industries.
How do they illustrate that focus?
Well, think about Bill Gates and Microsoft early on. Their single, relentless focus, their one thing, was getting an operating system onto every computer.
MS-DOS, yeah.
Right. That was the thing that made everything else easier or unnecessary for their initial huge success. They didn't try to make spreadsheets and word processors and everything else right away. They absolutely nailed the OS first.
Dominated that one thing.
Exactly. And KFC. Their original recipe wasn't about having the biggest menu or the flashiest stores. It was about perfecting that one unique core product. That distinct taste was their one thing. It drove their global success and built their whole brand.
So it wasn't about being average at many things.
Not at all. These huge successes, whether it's tech giants or, fried chicken empires, they often became successful not by trying to do everything, but by concentrating their energy, their resources, their vision onto their one thing. They found that key lever and just pushed on it relentlessly. Then the domino effect kicked in.
So pulling this all together for us listening, if
Yeah.
we really boil it down, the main takeaway from the one thing isn't about just working harder or doing more things.
No, not at all. Precisely. The core message is really that success comes from doing the right thing, not from trying to do everything right.
Effectiveness over just sheer activity.
Exactly. By focusing on what truly matters most, that single one thing, you genuinely achieve more, often by doing less overall activity.
And the real difficulty, it sounds like, isn't grasping the idea itself. It seems pretty straightforward, almost simple. The tough part is sticking with it.
Absolutely. The challenge isn't the complexity of the concept. It's simple, but not easy, right? The challenge is the commitment to that sustained focus.
Day in, day out.
Yeah, repeatedly asking that focusing question and then, crucially, acting on the answer. Doing that every day, especially when the world is constantly trying to pull you in 100 different directions. That's the hard part.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
Yeah, definitely. Reflecting on all this, maybe ask yourself this. What is your one thing right now? Maybe for a specific project or a health goal or even a relationship. What's the one thing you could do such that by doing it, everything else related to that goal becomes easier or even unnecessary? And just consider, how might focusing relentlessly on just that one thing create an unexpected, maybe even powerful domino effect of positive change in that area of your life?